Welcome to Manna at the Tap, a podcast from Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we refer to the daily Bible reading as our spiritual manna. It nourishes our souls, fostering spiritual growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. Today is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025, in the ninth week after Pentecost during the season of ordinary time. This is a time for us to live an extraordinary, disciplined life as we experience spiritual growth. The lectionary reading continues in Hebrews chapter 11, often called the Hall of Fame of Faith. The author of the book of Hebrews remains unknown, but their knowledge is deeply rooted in Israel's history. The community receiving this letter is facing persecution, and this message aims to encourage them to live as people of faith. Faith is real and tangible, and it is a solid foundation for everything that makes life meaningful. The lectionary reading covers verses 17 to 28 as the author describes the faith journey of Israel's founding fathers: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, and Moses. The most remarkable example of faith occurs when God tested Abraham by instructing him to sacrifice his son Isaac. Abraham, acting in faith, was ready to give Isaac back to God. He understood that God had promised to bless the family through Isaac, but Abraham believed that if Isaac was killed, God would raise him from the dead. The author explains that instead of Isaac being sacrificed, God provided an animal, and Abraham sacrificed the animal instead, saving Isaac from death. The author, as the storyteller, will link Isaac's faith to his son Jacob and grandson Joseph. Isaac blessed his twin sons Esau and Jacob concerning their future, but Jacob was the one through whom the promise given to Abraham would be carried on. Jacob was on his deathbed, and although he had 12 sons, he blessed Joseph's two sons with the family blessing as he bowed reverently on his staff. Joseph then became a shining example of faith as he approached death. Although Joseph was a prince of Egypt, he spoke with confidence about the descendants of Jacob returning to the promised homeland. And he arranged that upon his death, he would be embalmed, and he asked his family to please carry his remains with them when they exited Egypt. The author will now share some of the highlights of Moses' faith-filled life, beginning with his parents. It was by faith that Moses' parents hid him for the first 3 months after he was born because they recognized he was no ordinary child. They were not afraid of the king's decree that every newborn Hebrew boy was to be thrown into the Nile. As a baby, his parents placed him in the Nile, and Pharaoh's daughter adopted him. But when Moses became an adult, he turned his back on the royal life of being Pharaoh's grandson. He was not afraid of Pharaoh's anger, but instead chose to suffer alongside God's people. By faith, Moses obeyed God by establishing the Passover and instructing the families to sprinkle blood on the doorframes of their homes so that when the death angel passed over, their firstborn son would be spared. The author of Hebrews shares these messages. Don't be afraid. Keep God at the center of your life and trust God in everything.